if I went out on the street or if I went into a record store and I said, who had like a killer debut album? Somebody might say, oh, Led Zeppelin. Yeah. A lot of people are going to say Boston. And guess what? Nobody's going to say, hey, 16 Stone. Oh, Kitty on it. I want to.
Well, anyway, you're wrong. Welcome to Personal Records. That is Scott, and I'm Chris.
And today we're doing brackets, debut albums. Let's go.
Let's get it.
All right, we're back with the brackets. I am stoked because last time it was a lot of fun. We had a few disagreements, but nothing too...
We still have a friendship.
And when we came to Weezer won the first Sweet 16 that we did. So Weezer is in the final four.
Mm-hmm.
Chris has come up with a new set of 16 bands. We are going to, amongst ourselves, decide which bands move on until we come down to one band left over that will then go to the final four with Weezer. So we're going to have a couple more of these to do down the line. These are debut albums. Right. I think I said artist, but it's artists' debut albums. And it's a great category because there's so many good ones. So yes. Who are the artists today?
We got Linkin Park, Papa Roach. We have Finch, The Used. We have Wu-Tang. We have Nas. We have Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. We also have Morellis Forest, Starflyer 59. We also have the Presidents of the United States. We also have Bush. We have Boston, Blue, Öyster Cult, Toto, and The Police. Nice. So working on this list, I kind of covered 70s, some 90s, some 2000.
I love it.
So, and these are some pretty ridiculously great debut albums by these artists.
You did a great job, Chris.
Thank you.
There are going to be some tough battles out here. I think there's a couple that we might clash on. I like that we have Bush and then Boston. It makes me think of beans because we got Bush's baked beans and then we got Boston beans.
Didn't even think about that.
Yeah. So I think subconsciously you were doing the bean bracket there.
Gotcha.
All right. And then, gosh, when going through this, I can see that there are some that could end up in the final four, which will be a good contender against Weezer. I say let's jump right in with the first battle.
All right. The first region and the first battle we're going to go up at the Sweet 16. We have Linkin Park versus Papa Roach.
So this might be quick. I mean, I don't know about you, but...
Well, Linkin Park, Hybrid Theory came out October 24th, 2000. Sold a bazillion records. Mm-hmm. They are pretty much hot out the gate with One Step Closer was their first radio hit. And by the end, I mean, they had In the End, Crawling. They had some pretty fantastic, some songs off that album. Very good record. And then you have Papa Roach, which their debut record was Infest, which came out April 25th of 2000. And they are definitely well known by the song Last Resort. Right. And that record sold about 4 million in the U.S.
So, I mean, look, first round battles many times are somewhat lopsided. I don't know if you're going to come in hot with a really hot Papa Roach take. Last Resort was cool. I illegally downloaded that song, definitely, and listened to it. But man, Linkin Park brings back that album brings back so many great memories. I remember, like you said, the first single, which is One Step Closer to the Edge or One Step Closer. I liked that song, but then I think whatever their second one that came out was, I don't know if it was Crawling or what, but I was like, these keep getting better.
Right.
Like every single that would come out would get better. And so I finally broke down, spent the $20, bought the CD at Best Buy. And I remember when I believe it or not, there were a few times in my life that I actually ran/jogged. And I don't even know how I did that with like a CD with player, right. Like CD. But I remember listening and what's the one song? It's like forfeit the game before somebody else takes you out of the frame. That song will get me pumped up. I'll be like, all right, I'm gonna run. So I think this is a landslide victory for Linkin Park.
Yeah, I think Linkin Park easily advances. Nothing against Papa Roach, but this was also the height of, from 99 and 2000, this is when rap rock / new metal, where every record label was trying to get, okay, POD, Linkin Park,
Yeah.
Papa Roach, Limp Bizkit. So every label had to have an artist like that, and nothing against Papa Roach, but also see that Papa Roach even kind of moved away, and they have a career and everything like that. But I would say Hybrid Theory was clearly on top on this one. So
Yep.
I would say Linkin Park moves on.
No doubt.
All right. Up next, we have a band called Finch versus The Used. So Finch's debut album, which was called What It Is to Burn, which came out on March 12th of 2002. And The Used, they have self-titled, came out on June 25th of 2002. So I think that's a pretty good contenders up against each other.
I like that matchup when I saw it. Let me just say The Used, when I think of The Used, I think of obviously The Taste of Ink. I probably put The Taste of Ink on so many playlists because it's just a really fun song. And then I think about Bert, because back when the Osbournes was like a huge thing and he was dating Kelly Osbourne and he was on the show and she'd be like, but. So there's that. But then on the other hand, I'm going to just go ahead and play my cards. I mean, of all the albums on this whole thing, I've probably listened to What It Is to Burn from Finch more than any of them, except for maybe one, which I won't reveal now. But I don't want to gush too much over it because if it makes it out of this round, we'll have more to talk about. But I love that Finch record, What It Is to Burn. I learned about Finch from you. I learned it from you, Dad. But I'm glad I did. What do you think?
Yeah. What was interesting is I got wind of The Used because I was getting like a sampler, and on the sampler was a box full of Sharp Objects was on the sampler, and I heard it and I was like, man, I love the vocals, the screaming, the sing, and then to come to find out that their producer was John Feldman of Goldfinger. Oh. So I was kind of intrigued by that. But I've had both these albums. I do love The Used self-titled. They got some great songs. You mentioned Taste of Ink. Buried Myself Alive is another fantastic song. But I'd probably say What Is to Burn is an album that I do love. My opinion is I believe The Used have had a better career.
Right. I think that's very fair.
And I mean, they're still putting out music. I will say that after their sophomore LP, I think I kind of turned away a little bit from The Used, but from Finch coming out with What Is to Burn, that album is a great album. It has tons of different stuff on it, but I think Finch would
Didn't you have a DVD of like the live What It Is to Burn, or like a little mini documentary? I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed that album, but I never listened to anything else from them. So I got more Finch stuff I can talk about, but let's save it.
All right, so we have Linkin Park moving on as well as Finch moving on, and now we're going to move to Region 2. So Region 2, I was texting you about this, but I feel this is actually awesome because I didn't want to go West Coast versus East Coast. I wanted to match up West Coast against West Coast. So we're going to start off with Wu-Tang Clan versus Nas. So we got, of course, Wu-Tang Clan 36 Chambers, which came out November 9th, 1993. And then we got Nas Illmatic that came out April 19th, 1994. So there is...
Both New York.
Both New York. And I know that there is clearly a following for Wu-Tang. And there's clearly a following for Nas. And so... you start this time because I've been... Okay. Do you identify more with one of these artists than the other? I'd probably say I would say Wu-Tang Clan just because of the high school I attended.
I don't know why that's so funny, but it is.
But I mean, when Wu-Tang came out, you couldn't escape it because it was great. Granted, I try to figure out who's Method Man, who's RZA, who's all these things like that. But I would say when Wu-Tang came out in '93. Granted, I never owned the tape or the CD. That would not be allowed in my home. But all my friends and people around me had that, and I always heard about Wu-Tang and the songs. Like everyone saying Cream, everyone did Method Man, everyone said Protect Your Neck. Like Protect Your Neck became like a slogan you use it, like doesn't make any sense, but I'm going to use it in a sentence.
I always did think about what exactly is so important.
Like
about
if someone came up and slapped me in that head, like protect your neck. I'm like, okay, what the crap does that mean? So
So, Wu-Tang was so cool.
Yeah, Wu-Tang was just
they were a phenomenon. They were everywhere. and then everybody started having their solo careers.
Correct.
And they were a force in nature. And then Illmatic by Nas. That is one that this era of rap was when I started to fade out from rap and get more into, because what years did you say these came out? 93?
Illmatic came out in 94.
Yeah. So like these are the years where I was starting to get more into rock and alternative and indie and all that stuff. Well, not even, no, I say indie. I didn't get into indie until like after college really, but I personally never got that into Wu-Tang, which is like a weird thing to say.
Right.
People assume I'm like a huge Wu-Tang fan because they know I like that, hip hop and rap from the 90s, but I don't know. For me, I like Illmatic a lot more. Like, so this could be one that we butt heads on. I don't know how deep you want to go with this, but Illmatic, I mean, it's got The World Is Yours. It's got New York State of Mind.
Correct.
Halftime. Lyrically, here's the thing. Wu-Tang lyrically is hilarious and incredible. So this is personal records, and therefore I don't know that I could say which is a better album, although I do think it's critically acclaimed and thought of as one of the greatest rap albums of all time. Right. So I think we move on Illmatic unless you have a strong preference.
I like when you think of Wu-Tang, it's of course not one person, it's many. It's a plethora of people. Nas is himself, and lyrically extremely clever. I mean, it's good stuff. Never owned it, but yes, I definitely listened to Illmatic. So, and also just kind of the background, the fact is that like MC Search kind of found him. And so that
MC
was kind
Search, Q-Tip.
Right. There was like Tribe Called Quest backed them.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. There was a couple other, but basically he was like the prodigy of
correct.
Queensbridge, New York. And I'd be remiss if I did not mention that I did a episode about this album on the first iteration of Personal Records back in the day with Eric Morris, who grew up in that area, and it made me fall in love with the album. And I still listen to it. It's one that I put on, and it is a complete album. It's an album. Right. It's not a bunch of tracks. So okay, Illmatic, moving on. And this will be interesting because now we got West Coast, right?
So doing this, I was like, all right, what West Coast, because there's, of course, like there's a ton of stuff, but the ones that I thought that were very, very clever albums, but also albums that their debut impact, I think, rap in general. And that would be Dr. Dre, The Chronic, that came out December 15th, 1992, as well as Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, which came out November 23rd, 1993. So kind of the same pedigree to a certain extent. So I think that's kind of interesting. But within that, I do remember when Dr. Dre put out The Chronic, like I said, where I went to school, everyone got it, the album, except for me, but you heard it all the time within that. So especially, I think everyone, regardless of your age, you sang Nothing But a G Thing Baby. Man. You said, you sang Let Me Ride for whatever reason. But I would say Dre was huge. Specifically, I remember going to a basketball camp at James Madison. Yeah. And that was just getting played everywhere.
Man, isn't that crazy? Because it feels like those albums have been around forever, and they have been, right? But like we experienced them as brand new albums. Right. The first time I heard Snoop Dogg, and the first time most people heard Snoop Dogg was for the soundtrack for Judgment Night, right? Where it was 187 on an undercover cop. And I was like, who is this guy? And I mean, I'd heard of Dr. Dre from NWA, but Snoop Dogg came out of nowhere, or Snoop Doggy Dogg came out of nowhere and was a phenomenon. But The Chronic is like a classic top. Like, here's the thing though, Dr. Dre is not a great rapper. I mean, that's just a fact, but he finds good people. He put out The Chronic, which is a classic album. It was everywhere, like you said, which isn't, like when we try to judge these, this is a hard one because it's like, how do you separate the two? But I'll tell you off the top of my head, I'm like, which songs were on Snoop Dogg's album? Gin and Juice was on that album. Yeah. And then you had Doggy Dog World.
And then you had Who Am I? What's My Name?
Right? Snoop Doggy. That was that one?
Yeah.
Which one do you connect more with?
I mean, I don't
really connect with either.
I don't really connect with them.
How do we judge this? We got to figure out a way to judge this.
Okay, this is how I get it. I think Dr. Dre had a
bigger impact,
lot more, especially coming out of NWA. His issues with Eazy-E, even had issues with Ice Cube. Mm-hmm. Everyone thought he was just this. That's all he is. He's just a guy you get behind the scenes,
right?
And he's like, no, and he stepped out and in full force, put out.
I don't know, but it's probably a freaking triple platinum or diamond. I mean, it's got to be one of the greatest selling rap albums.
But I think the whole thing was yes, Snoop's album did well. He clearly had a very good career, but I think for Dre stepping out, not being wanting to be known as the producer guy with what he did is pretty ridiculous.
I'm with you. I would say it's got to be the Chronic. There's something about Doggy Style that, I mean, I've listened to the full album back in the day, but I mean, when was the last time you just put on Doggy Style or the Chronic? Probably. Yeah. I mean, so. All right, let's do the Chronic, and then we're going to have to talk about that one again when we get to the next round. So Correct. We are now to the next bracket.
Yes, we are now moving into Region 3. So in Region 3, we have some 90 bands. Some of you bands, you may not have ever heard of this, but after today, you will. Yeah. So we're going to talk about the 1994 album from Starflyer 59, which is called Silver. That came out March 3rd and is going to go against Morellis Forest Super Deluxe that came out in 1995. Mm-hmm. So I kind of pinned these two bands. They were on the same record label, kind of came out near the same time. They were in that whole Christian music scene and those things. So
let's talk about that scene for a minute, because were they both on Tooth and Nail? Mm-hmm. That was like a golden age of it was Christian music. It was a Christian label, but there were a lot of crossover bands like MXPX and Starflyer, for that matter. It was a lot of bands that, I mean, we grew up, Christian music was Michael W. Smith, Russ Taff, Carmen, who is the one guy? Stephen Curtis Chapman.
And all those I never listened to.
Yeah. I mean, I did because I was really only allowed to listen to Christian music, but It wasn't until, I mean, again, we always talk about Adam. He introduced at least me to Starflyer 59. Mm-hmm. I can just remember actually hanging out in your room and Adam was there and he's talking about Starflyer 59. He's talking about Morellis Forest. He's talking about Poor Old Lou, The Prayer Chain, like all these bands. And it's like, this is not Christian music. This is just music. I mean, they are Christians and they do write about, religious themes and stuff, but like, this is quality. Yeah. I want to listen to this. Like, I would listen to this over secular music.
Well, I think that's one of the bigger things is because, I'm going to talk trash here, but I think a lot of times in that era, there was a lot of cheesy stuff that kind of came out. Back in the day, there was a time where if you just label yourself, oh yeah, we're a Christian band, and you got signed by some Christian label, but they weren't good and they got forced out or whatever.
I would say these bands in a weird way had it tough. And the reason they had it tough was, they're really good bands, but they were labeled, when you got the label of Christian band, it was hard to get taken seriously in mainstream. But then on the flip side, because you weren't wearing your faith on your sleeve necessarily, you weren't getting embraced as much by the Christian side of things, the CCM crowd. So we need to do a whole episode on like this era of music with Tooth and Nail and some of these other ones. But this is the hardest one by far so far. So on one hand, you've got Starflyer. This is their debut album, Silver. I like this album a lot. I re-listened to it. It's a Blue Collar Love
Blue Collar Love, Sled.
And it's ahead of its time.
Correct.
But then on the other, but see, then they come out with Gold, which I like better than this album. Fell in Love with 22 EP, which I like better than this. Americana, which I like better than this. Then when it comes to Morello's Forest, I love Morello's Forest. In their first album, Hangout, the first track is awesome. These guys were like, whenever I think of not shoegaze, although they are sort of shoegazy, but like dream pop, it's like they've got the fuzzed out guitars and they have a female vocalist. It's like they're really poppy and heavy. So sometimes I get their albums mixed up because they had this is Super Deluxe, right? And then they had like Ultraphonic Hiss and they had From Dating with Love. But this might be my favorite, and it was their debut. And remember seeing them live?
Yeah. That was one thing I was
so good.
That I was going to bring up is I'm very stoked to actually see them live. I thought they were fantastic live. I actually talked to the drummer Nate after.
So good.
Yeah, he was a great drummer, and and granted, after a show, you don't want some little kid coming up and like, hey man, you're pretty good at the drum, But I did, and he didn't, punch me in the face or whatever. But what I love about Morello's Forest is, number one, they got compared to people and they were them. They were like, oh, this is the Christian Breeders. Right. No, they weren't. They were their own thing.
And that just shows you, and that'll give you a little insight too into how it used to be with Christian music. Right. I remember that there was like a poster that would be in places because it was trying to get people to listen to Christian music instead of secular music. And it was like, if you like,
right. If you're a fan of this,
like if you like Guns N' Roses, you might like Petra. And it's like, that's a stretch, maybe Foreigner, but they would compare to other bands. And Morello's Forest does not have much at all to do with the Breeders, other than a female vocalist. But are you going to push on Morello's Forest going past? It feels kind of weird because Starflyer is the more known band. They're probably a better band long term. But
that's the thing that was interesting about Starflyer is that because even when this came out, a lot of people didn't really get it, but it was great. But Jason Martin, correct?
Yep.
He constantly put stuff out. If you go look through the discography, if you put an album, an EP came out the same year. And then, this guy has...
Prolific would be the word.
Yeah.
And Chris, I remember one time talking to you about Starflyer. This is at least 20 years ago. Because I was like, do you still listen to Starflyer? And you were like, they put out an album called I Can't Stop Eating. And you were like, I don't know what that's about. Nah, I'm not really that into it right now. Yeah. Do you remember that? And I because it made me laugh because I was like, that is true. I never listened to that one.
Right.
But when you put out so many albums, it can dilute your catalog.
Right.
But Silver is wonderful. I just listened to it again the other day and I was like, how does this sound so good? I love it. But personally, I connect more with Morello's Forest. I listen to it more. And that show we saw in the Upper Room was at that time the best show I'd ever seen. The way that they did these extended, I'll never forget. I don't remember exactly what song it was that they turned into like a 10-minute song and the drummer, I remember, was so into it, was so good. And I just remember looking and going, wow, the album's good, but like this is a whole nother level.
Yeah, seeing them live it really did change the game.
It really did.
But for me, like I said, I love Starflyer 59. I think great band, amazing catalog. For their debut, I think it was awesome. My personal opinion is Morello's Forest's debut hits home to me more.
All right.
And that's my opinion. I love Hangout. That song is amazing. I love Lush of Spring. And then my favorite song off that album is called Wonder Boy.
Oh yeah.
And that is, but anyway, so I think it's Morello's Forest.
And just the fact that we can, and like the last track, Curl, is great. Like it's very shoegazy, dream pop, jangly, if that makes any sense, with a female singer. It's like, there's just not a lot like it. That's great. So we both agree Morello's Forest. But I think that's our answer because we're not sitting here talking about, oh man, a housewife love song. Oh, that's on Gold. But like, we can't even name that many songs off of the Starflyer album, which kind of says something. It's like, we respect that album, love the sound, but it's Morel's Forest. All right,
Gotcha.
let's go. What do we got next?
All right, the next battle we have is Bush, 16 Stone versus the Presidents of the United States, self-titled.
Yeah.
So Bush, 16 Stone came out in November 1st, 1994, and then the President of the United States, self-titled, came out March 10th, 1995.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts?
I might go Presidents of the United States of America.
All right, we are going to disagree.
Okay, so Lump,
great song,
Peaches,
amazing song.
Lump was like nothing I'd ever heard of. They have a good sense of humor.
Right.
They were everywhere. I mean, 16 Stone. Here's the thing with that. It had really good songs on it, but I got tired of listening to it at a certain point. Like I didn't want to hear like Come Down Ever Again or remember we did a cover of Machine Head at our the first time we ever played in public, which was Joey Higginbotham's what was it? Graduation party. Oh wait, should we tell that story right now? Okay, we'll save it. But we did Machine Head. I don't know. I would argue.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because that album was out forever because they put out numerous singles.
What other singles did they have off of that? Because I'm blanking now.
Little Things, Come Down, Machine Head, Glycerine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Glycerine, yeah.
So with Bush, I think that album, it did sell a lot of records, but they had these videos and hits, and they're on the radio for literally 2 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And so for President of the United States, dude, it's a goofy album, but it rips.
But I feel like it gets shortchanged because it's goofy. But
when you have a song called Feather Pluckin', that's I mean, and the thing is the songs. How do you write those lyrics? Let's drop a song called Feather Pluckin'.
I really wanted to try to make a case for the Presidents of the United States of America just so that we would have an argument. But I mean,
I will say
if I'm being real, but what was the other Presidents of the United States of America on that album? Do you happen to have that written down? Because I remember Lump and Peaches, but they also had
Dune Buggy.
Okay.
And then they have a song called "Kick Out the Jams."
Okay.
But there's other songs.
There was other ones too.
Called Kitty. It was called Kitty.
Kitty is the one. Oh, Kitty and I want to touch it. Those songs bring me nothing but joy. I have a distinct memory of being in Jam Locker, and that was where we recorded some stuff, and we could like practice in a room that had soundproof. And I remember we did like a cover of, or we played Lump. I mean, why I remember that is just because it was fun. That song brings so much joy. Kitty, Peaches.
Well, it's two different things because you got Bush, which is serious and really that
very serious,
and then you got they're called the Presidents of the United States,
right?
And you're gonna and they got these songs, but the thing is that the drummer only played with hi-hat and a splash.
I know. I was gonna bring that up, but that's kind of cool,
right? It is cool. I mean, but there is musicianship there that I think is forgotten by them, but
because of their.
It's almost like they're a jam band with I don't want to like put that label on them, but. Like,
you can't really compare it to anything else. I can't think of anybody else.
Like we saw Bush live. Right?
We did. Yeah.
We saw Bush live, but I never had a chance to see President of the United States. But I'd probably say I would have the best time seeing them play.
Yeah. And look, also, we are talking about what do you and me together, what do we consider and it had more of an impact. And only reason I wanted to kind of give a little love to the presidents of the United States of America is like, to me, this isn't a blowout because it's easy to discount them because Correct. It feels like when you go out with a sense of humor, it's easy to be discounted as like a novelty band or something. Right. But like you said, they were good. I mean, you had to have done something right when you had that many hits and you got everyone all over the country singing your songs. But Bush is more of really our style. And we did get to go see them at the Hampton Coliseum, which was awesome. So I do think Bush should move on.
And I think what's interesting about 16 Stone, like I got their, I guess it's a collector edition album over here, but like I love the song Swim, but one song that gets overlooked, and I almost positive just recently they played a bunch of festival shows and they played that song Alien.
Oh yeah, I'm an alien.
Which
It's
is
a beautiful
which is
day.
which is whatever. But that song is awesome, and it's kind of cool to see them kind of play whatever. But I mean I agree with you about President of the United States. I think it's Bush.
Bush should
okay,
move on.
all right. So we're gonna move Bush on, and they'll be going up against Morales Force shortly. All right.
What a weird matchup. There's literally never been anyone in the history of the world that's ever had a conversation that involved Bush versus Morales Force, so that'll be fun.
No, but I really hope out of this that I love Morales Force. I don't even know how to get in touch with them. I'm actually still in search of trying to get Super Deluxe on vinyl. But I hope that they have an uptick because they're a band that just never got what I think they deserved. And so that's my opinion.
All right, so who do we have next?
All right, so in Region 4, this is kind of like the 70s era. Yes. So we're going to go over some really good debuts. So we have Blue Öyster Cult, self-titled, that came out January 16th, 1972, versus Boston, that came out in August 25th, 1976.
All right, so earlier I said Finch album is the one I probably listened to the most, except for one. The Boston album is so good. You have that vinyl and you left it at my house and I put it in and it was like I was hearing it for the first time. But Blue Öyster Cult.
I love some Blue Öyster Cult.
Does that have I'm burning?
Nope.
Wait, who is that even them?
That's them, but that's way later.
Okay, so what else is what's on this?
So on this record they have She's As Beautiful As a Foot.
Okay.
That is a song title, and it's really good.
Okay.
They also have
Did Quentin Tarantino write that?
They have one called They Came in the Last Days of May, and my favorite track is called Cities on Flame with Rock and Roll.
So let me ask you this, Chris, because I don't know those songs. I don't really know this album. We saw Blue Öyster Cult live. Remember
Correct,
that?
We did.
But anyway,
and they played the one song that I love.
Which is
Cities on Flame with Rock and Roll.
So I'm gonna put this one on you because to me, I mean, Boston could possibly take this whole thing. Like when I think of debut albums, the great debut albums, Boston's right there. That's like one of the first ones I think of. What is it about the Blue Öyster Cult one? Do you have a connection with it? I know you were able to say those songs. I don't even know those songs. So to me, it's like David and Goliath here. Right. So is there any case to be made?
The thing is with Blue Öyster Cult, I think they got more of a bigger following later with their other albums because this was, of course, their debut. But I will say The Cities on Flame with Rock and Roll is a really, really good song.
I'm intrigued. Like I want to listen
check
to
it out. You should check. But that is like one of my favorites of all time. But I think why there was a connection is because back when I was a kid, I remember somehow listening to some Blue Öyster Cult, and I don't know if it was because of my dad or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But any which way, I will say this though: Boston's is you can't.
It's undeniable,
dude.
Man.
There's only 8 tracks, and every song on it is great.
And I like that, like some of the themes in it, about like not wanting to care about the rat race. It's Peace of Mind. It's such a great song. But I mean, even just I like. Still remember where I was when I first heard what's the first track? My Marianne Walking Away.
More Than a Feeling.
First time I heard More Than a Feeling, I was like, is this the greatest song I've ever heard? Right. It's so good.
But when I pinned this up, I just figured it was a good battle because Blue Öyster Cult, people there's like people that love.
Well, they love
Boston.
Good. I've listened to a fair amount of Blue Öyster Cult, and probably some of those songs you mentioned, and I want to listen to that album. And so, honestly, that's one of the things that I love about our show is I'm hoping that the people that are watching and listening to the show are doing the same thing I'm doing, which is like you'll talk about an album, and then I'll start listening to it later because I'll be like, when you talked about it, it made me want to listen to it. So I'm filling in some gaps. I'm going to probably listen to that tonight really loud because I guarantee it sounds good on the stereo.
It does. And when you when you have a song called "She's As Beautiful as a Foot," you're very intrigued. But what was interesting is that about Blue Öyster Cult when I did my research is that they're like one of the songs is about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Really?
Yeah, it's like kind of weird.
Interesting.
But yeah.
All right.
So,
well,
I think it's Boston.
Baby.
So Boston's gonna move on. All right. So Boston moves on, and this is the last, I guess you could say, of bracket 4.
Okay.
And this I think is going to be a tough one.
All right.
All right. It is going to be Toto.
Yeah.
Toto, their debut album, which came out October 1978. And then you got The Police. And I'm going to allow you to say this title of their debut.
Okay. You'll let me mess it up. I think it's Outlandos Demore.
I think you did it 100% correct.
Right.
I believe that's what it is. And so Toto is awesome. So is The Police.
Right.
So this is their debut records. Toto is a great band. I love Toto.
I love Toto. See, we don't talk about these beforehand, and I was
we probably should have.
Well, no. I think it's interesting because I love Toto. At some point, Toto, I remember growing up that Toto was almost like a punchline as being like not a cool band. Like, at least that's what the people I was around was kind of like. Oh, Toto, what do you do? Listen to Toto, like Toto. Like, so I always thought Toto like sucked. And then Africa was like their one song. But I mean, Hold the Line is quite possibly one of my favorite classic rock songs. I mean, they had Georgie, Porgy, Puddin' Pie. I mean, this was a great album. And I gotta say, I think the Police are overrated, straight up.
All right.
I don't even really like the Police. So
right.
I thought I was going to have to get into it with you. So I think Stuart Copeland
we're about to get
overrated.
into it right now.
All right.
Okay. So I love Toto, and this is a great album, but with this debut record of Police, now there are some things about Police I'm like, but for this album, let me throw some tracks that they put out.
Okay.
So Lonely.
So Lonely.
Yes. Roxanne.
Yep.
Okay, what are we talking about?
A hooker.
Yeah. Okay. And then number 3, Can't Stand Losing You.
Listen, High School Scott, loved those songs, but here's my thing: the Police. First of all, they don't know how to end a song. The end of every song is so lonely, so lonely. Like they do that for 45 minutes. They do that every song. They don't know how to end it. Are you reggae? Are you not reggae? Sting.
I'm just messing with you. I think it's Toto 100%.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. So
no, I do love the Police. I love this album, and there are other stuff, but like for me, the Police kind of do fade out. But for a debut record, there are some great songs on the Police record.
I agree. I really thought I was going to have to dig in because I really thought you were going to go hard on Police here. Mm-hmm. That's why I say we didn't talk about it, because I didn't know if you really liked Toto.
No, I really love Toto, and my favorite song is I'll Supply the Love.
Great song.
And the thing is that I'm not talking trash about the Police, but Toto is this band full of musicians. Like you're listening, like they're just used a flute.
Right.
They just used some bell. They
were confident songwriters. They were good musicians. They knew how to write hooks. The production value was unmatched.
Yeah.
They knew how to end a song, unlike the Police.
Very true.
And again, like,
man, that was kind of harsh that you threw that.
There is a day back in the day where I really thought the Police were cool. And then I got to a point probably in my 20s where I was like, I don't think I ever need to hear a Police song again. I feel like I've heard them enough. I mean, they're overplayed.
I'm not a Sting fan. I'm not
either.
I'm not a big fan of that guy, but I think there are some good songs. Like I've had some comments said to me about, that song "Don't Stand So Close to Me" is about you. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember. It's about like a teacher's pet, and like don't stand. It's like I don't remember it's definitely could fall into the category of predatory rock
creepy.
or
it is a creepy song.
But and so is what's another one Roxanne is actually kind of creepy, but then so is I'll Be Watching You, right? Or whatever every step you take, every breath you make, I'll be watching you. So they're like. Got a lot of creepy songs. I just don't need to ever hear the Police again. I'm glad that we didn't have to come to blows over that one. So are we ready for round 2 now?
We're moving on to round 2.
These are going to get harder.
I think this is when we're going to have kind of like our first kind of hiccup. So out of region 1, we're going to have Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory versus Finch, What Is to Burn.
Okay, let's do it.
What are your thoughts?
I mean,
because they're two different genres to a certain extent. I mean, but what's also kind of crazy though is Hybrid Theory came out in 2000, and just 2 short years later, Finch puts out this album, which is phenomenal. Because both, granted, Linkin Park has sold, that album's probably sold 30 million records. Finch probably sold 700,000 copies of this record, maybe. I don't know.
This is really hard because this is like heart versus head versus, I feel like Linkin Park could win this whole thing in a way, but I mean, my heart is with that Finch album. Let me tell you a little bit about this album for me. So what I love about it is, so it's got like the song Gray Matter. It's got, so what's the song where it's like, he talks about, I miss you or whatever. I used to play that song. It's either Postscript or Gray Matter, that I used to play this in the car with my son when he was like 4 or 5 years old, take him to soccer. And I listened to this Finch album, and I think it's Postscript. And he would say, Daddy, I want to hear the I Miss You song. Mm-hmm. And so he grew up on that. And so I feel very connected to it because I think of my son. I listen to it all the time. It's actually, they have very weirdly catchy songs, mm-hmm. but they're still coming off hard and punchy. And I love the way they do some things. Like, for example, when they go from, what is it, Ender to What It Is to Burn. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. I've never been so pumped up, where it's like this long period of almost like silence and guitars and whatever. It's just very quiet. And then it just comes in so hard. They did a live version of it on, like, I think Conan O'Brien or something. And I've watched it many, many times. So I love Finch and I love that album. It's really hard to say it should get past Linkin Park. Mm-hmm. Where's your head? Well,
with Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, there are songs that I like. For example, I didn't. One Step Closer was a good song. Is played a lot. Didn't really get into the end or Crawling. I just was kind of moving on. But I really did like Paper Cut, and then the song A Place for My Head.
Paper Cut, yeah.
So Paper Cut and A Place for My Head were great songs. And what was kind of weird is my favorite song off that was kind of like the hidden track. It's called My December. Oh, it's just Chester singing. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay.
If you ever check out Linkin Park, My December, fantastic song. But I would say if I took Finch's songs off Öyster Burn to go against that, I would probably choose Finch. Yeah. For example, with Finch, Letters to You, you got.
Thank you.
You got Perfection Through Silence. Yeah. Ender. And then of course the last track 13, which is What Is to Burn. Yeah. He
comes in and he goes, she burns.
It's a well-crafted song.
Yeah. The tension that gets built up, and then when it gets released, and then he says she burns, and then the guitars come in. Mm-hmm. It is unlike anything when you talk about just a build up and then a release. It is so good. It's crazy, and that's why this is so fun, is because if we on YouTube, if we put down in the comments to like vote for who you think should have gone on or what we got wrong, I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be like, how do you not have Linkin Park moving on? Just because I think that album is big. It means a lot for a lot of people. Love Linkin Park these days, and a lot of people don't know who Finch is. But for me and you, I think it's Finch.
I agree with Finch.
All right.
Now, if this was not a debut, if this was Meteora, I think we might have like a different conversation.
Perhaps.
But I think it is Finch that was moving on. All right, next up, we're going to have Nas versus Dr. Dre.
I mean, so I still like Nas here. I think what we have is
I'm going to have to agree with you 100%.
He's a better rapper. He's one of the best rappers ever. You got Dr. Dre, who's not really that much of a rapper, had those huge songs. It was a bigger record, I think, even than Illmatic. But as far as just an album, and we already talked about it, I just think Illmatic is better. And I like it as more one that I've bonded with. I'll put it on. I don't put on The Chronic unless if I'm DJing, which I don't do anymore. There's some tracks from there I'd put on. But yeah, Illmatic.
All right. So from region 1 and 2, we going to have Finch versus Nas, and now we're back over to region 3. We have Morales Force versus Bush, 16 Stone.
Wow, what a weird matchup. You go first on this one.
I think with Bush up against Morales Force, I think it's Bush 16 Stone just because of from every single track with what they put out, from even though people may not like Glycerine or they're way over Machine Head. I do love Morales Force. I just think overall, I think Bush made a larger stamp, and that's not that's not a knock towards Morales Force, because like I said, I would love to talk to them again, and I would love to hear about because I enjoyed their albums that came out, but I think that to have 16 Stone, I think made a huge stamp.
What's kind of crazy is what years did those come out again?
So Bush came out in 94, and then shortly after 95 was Morales Force.
So this is sort of like past Scott versus current Scott, right? Because 16 Stone was like a huge album for me. I mean, I had the cassette of it. We saw them live. We covered one of their songs. I remember sitting on the top of BJ Skipper's full-size van after junior, senior, and he had a acoustic guitar. We're sitting like on top the roof of his van, and he's playing Come Down, and I'm singing to it. And it's like, I've got these wonderful memories. I remember Brendan Skeffington was the first person I ever remember. We were in homeroom, and he was singing Everything Zen, and he wrote Everything Zen on the whiteboard. And I was like, what's he talking about? And then, so it takes me back to high school and really good memories. And then, but then, like I said, I kind of stopped. I don't really go back and listen to it again. I don't really listen to it. I mean, I think about Gavin, what's his name? Gavin Rossdale playing, doing Glycerine at MTV Spring Break in the rain.
Yeah.
So, but then over the years, I just come to love Morales Forest more and more. I mean, Morales Forest reminds me of college, but what do I listen to now? I'll put on Morales Forest. Right. But I think because, I mean, you're leaning toward Bush. If I say in my life, which had a bigger impact, it's 16 Stone. Okay. I mean, that had a bigger impact to me. Do I choose to listen to it as much now? No, but I agree. And for a debut album, I mean, so the impact it made. Mm-hmm. Do you remember the Everything's In video? It was like a weird video. He was like wearing there's like a weird masks and stuff. Anyway. All right. So Bush it is.
All right. So Bush, move on. All right. And then region 4, we have Boston versus Toto. So we have.
Oh man, this is a good one.
Toto from 78 and Boston from 76.
That Boston album was 1976.
I'm almost positive.
That's wild.
I mean, I'll double check because I'm screwing that up.
I believe you.
Yep. August 25th, 1976.
As much as I love Toto, I have a really hard time sitting here and trying to say that Toto album should beat the Boston album. The Boston album, we talk about perfect albums. Some people don't like Boston. They think it's like bloated kind of corporate rock, it's dad rock. It's sort of not cool. It's
I just wanted what was the conversation when they're going to name their band? No, they're not band. Let's call our band Boston.
Yeah,
okay.
Why not?
Yeah.
Where are we from? I mean, Chicago's already taken.
Tennessee.
Yeah. Like what other cities or bands? Yeah. There's more for sure, but
I mean, as a debut record, I would say I think Boston. It was huge. I would say from a catalog perspective and overall band, I love Toto more.
Yeah.
And I will die on that hill for that because I also love later stuff. Can I be honest with you? I know I own the next record up from Boston. It's over here somewhere. Mm-hmm. I can tell you I don't listen to it.
It's all right. Like it's got one or two good songs. I'm blanking on what they're called right now. But the thing was, if this is the category for Boston.
Right.
Like to your point, Boston's not going to win a lot of contests here. Right. But when it comes to debut album,
they listen.
That's what they did. They made the best debut album.
They put 8 awesome songs together for their debut.
No skips.
Correct.
So Boston it is.
All right. So Boston moves on to the final. So now we're going to have...
We got the final 4 set?
Yeah. So,
all right. Give us a recap.
Okay. So we got Finch versus Nas.
Okay.
And then we got Bush versus Boston.
Oh, it's the beans category.
Yeah, it's what you...
Oh, it's the dream category.
All right. So... Finch, 2002, Nas, 1994.
Again, nobody's ever talked about. That's what I love. Nobody's ever pitted these two against each other. All right, so the criteria we're looking at is like which one is a better debut album from our perspectives as what we connect to. Which one is more important to us? Which one would we like to see go on?
All right. Finch's record, it's one of my favorite records.
Right.
It's great, but that was, for my opinion, out of the band Finch, this was it for them. Their sophomore didn't really pony up.
But even you could almost say, well, don't throw anything at me, but you can say the same for Nas. I mean, he did have he's put out, like he's put out like 18 albums. Like he's still going. But I mean, after Illmatic, I don't even remember the name of the second one, but you'd recognize the cover.
Right.
It was also big, but yeah, this is hard because I love Finch and I love that album. But when I think about the winner that comes out of this is going to have to go head to head with a heavyweight and might make it to the final four, is Finch. Can Finch actually beat Illmatic? I think Illmatic is such a good record that I lean toward that.
I will agree with you on that because Finch going against Boston, Finch going against, and I'm giving it, its trophies here.
It had a good run.
It had a good run, and it is a great record. But it
beat Linkin Park and knocked out Linkin Park.
Right.
Finch, you'll always have that.
Right. No, I think with that album come out, especially if you ever do the look back to see what he went through, like there was all these bootleg copies. Yeah. It kind of wasn't really blowing up.
Oh, you're talking about Illmatic?
Yeah. There's all these issues, and that still came out on top with being a definitive rap record, because I basically kind of fell out of rap between 95, 96. This is when stuff started kind of changing, and I really wasn't into a lot of the stuff that was coming out. So I do remember it. I remember the songs, but I know that Nas had a major impact in rap music.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, he's so respected,
right.
And the reason being is he's a great lyricist, and he can just flat out, the flow is hard to top. So,
okay. So,
all right. So
Nas.
we got, Illmatic's going to be in the finals, and now we got to go to
Bush versus Boston.
Boston.
You say Boston.
I mean, I hate to just throw it out there like that, but I think Boston's a much, much better record. Because here's the thing. The Bush record, I have a lot of good memories of. I'm not going to rehash everything I've said, but is it really good? Is it good music? Is it really that good? I don't want to come back down. Some of his lyrics are absolutely ridiculous. Like Gavin's lyrics and that. Like I even remember being, 16, 17, and what's the song where he's like 16 hair dryers. Da, da, da. It's like, what are you talking about? He's just listing things. I think
he's looking at a room. Like, yep, there's that.
Yeah, it's like. It's like I just think that
you don't
Boston,
like Bush.
I don't really care for Bush anymore. I liked them back in the day.
Right.
I just don't actually think it's that good. Like you know how like you'll watch a movie when you're a kid and you'll be like, that's the greatest movie of all time. And I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, I watched. No, see, everything I'm thinking of is a classic.
Yeah, be careful.
But so I'm not going to say, but think about something you watched when you were a kid and then you got older and you saw it as an adult and you're like, oh, that kind of sucked. I only liked it because of its nostalgia.
Right.
I think that's how it is with me for Bush. Like, it's not, is this a bunch of super accomplished musicians? Did they have any sort of impact on music? Were they a little derivative of what was going on at the time? Maybe. Whereas on the other hand, I just think Boston, that album, is flawless, and we're doing a competition about debut albums. If I went out on the street or if I went into a record store and I said, who had like a killer debut album? Somebody might say, oh, Led Zeppelin. Yeah. A lot of people are going to say Boston. And guess what? Nobody's going to say, hey, 16 Stone, that was a debut album. Like, you see what I'm saying?
No,
I think I haven't even let you talk. What do you think?
No,
You're like Bush.
well, anyway, you're wrong. No,
Yeah.
no, I agree with you with that. I mean, like, I really, really like 16 Stone. I never liked everything in Zen, but I did like I said, Swim and then Calm Down, Machine Head. They're good songs. I will say this, I can't remember last time. Like, I remember buying the anniversary record, years upon years ago. I haven't played it since. So really I have like a collector's edition is what I have. But I can definitely see like what you're saying, that if you're asking people,
I mean, I know that's not the criteria we're going for.
But debut records that made a mark, I agree with you saying that.
Yeah, I mean,
Boston made a bigger mark than Bush did.
If we did a personal records where we did a draft of 1995 albums or whatever, that's different, because I might have Bush a lot higher, because I'm thinking, hey man, that album was everywhere in 95. We saw them. It was a big one for me. It could be up really high. So. I think this just comes down to the category, and I think it's got to be Boston.
All right, so Boston puts down Bush. So there you go.
So Boston is the winner of the Beans bracket, and we have
Nas, Illmatic.
Oh, this is now to the championship.
This is the last two standing. So
I want to hear you go first.
All right, you're probably not gonna like what I'm gonna say, but I own Boston. I understand More Than the Feeling, Peace of Mind. There is 8 good tracks. But like I said, for me with Boston, it is a record that I own. If it comes on, great. I'm not running to slap it on my record player. But also I'm not highly versed in Nas as well. But
right.
like I said, growing up, my rap group or artist is pretty small, because I like just a few, because there's only 3 that are, I guess, were meaningful to me that I enjoy listening to. But with Nas, I do remember those 2 songs. I do remember those things. I think it's Nas Illmatic is what I think.
Okay. I can see that argument. I think about we do a podcast about albums, and that is a great, I don't know if you'd even call it a concept album, but it's like the whole thing starts, you hear the sound of the train. It really puts you in the mindset of a time and a place that I can't really relate to. I didn't live there. I don't know anything about it, but much like with, I think I've talked before about Kendrick Lamar's Good Kid, Bad City, where you're like seeing through his eyes, and he's telling a story of where he grew up and how he lived, and it puts you there. That's the same thing that Illmatic did. So I think, but man, this is really hard, because I think when I hear you talk, neither of these are like, would you put on a pantheon of your favorite records, right? I mean, like, you can appreciate them.
Right. I think that's probably when I was trying to, get this bracket set up, I really wanted this, like, not say controversy, but I really wanted to dip into different things.
Yeah,
because,
contrast.
Yeah, for sure. But within this, like I said, record wise, I mean, I'd probably tie it closer to Finch's "What Is to Burn."
Right.
I would tie closer to.
Well, let me ask you this:
else.
if this was Finch versus Boston, you'd probably go Finch.
Oh yeah, I would say Finch.
But if this was Finch versus Illmatic, you'd probably still go Illmatic, because we already had Finch versus Illmatic, and we went with Illmatic. Yeah. Man, I'm stalling because I'm really struggling here, because before I said if you talk about debut albums, people will say XYZ. Nobody's going to say 16 Stone, but people could say Illmatic. I mean, that is an absolute classic debut album. What I'm struggling with is to not even have Boston in the final 4 of debut albums is tough, because when I think of people that had just an album that came out and was already a classic almost as soon as it came out, it's Boston. So, man, this is the hardest one we've had.
I think what you just said, that's kind of the answer, I think.
Boston? It's so hard, because see, part of me though, I want to say Illmatic, because I want to have hip hop represented if possible in the final 4.
But I think there's another debut record that will eventually will hit, because that was the whole thing too, is because with those 4 that we picked, everyone probably thinks that we're nuts because we had you know the Chronic, Doggy Style, Illmatic, and we have 36 Chambers. But what I love about rap music in general is the fact is that there are people like, I rather listen to Souls of Mischief than other things. I rather listen to Tribe Called Quest. Yeah. Or I rather listen to Leaders of the New School.
Dude.
So, or
Leaders of the New.
rather than the Chronic, rather than listen to Doggy Style.
But I'm gonna throw this out here too. This is the last thing I'm gonna say as we ponder, because neither of us would say that we are like historians when it comes to rap or hip hop. We know what we like, but I don't know that genre as well as some other genres. But I will say this: as an album, just a tight, perfect album, Illmatic is a great rap album, maybe the best, like one of the best. Whereas a lot of the other ones you mentioned, I mean, I know the singles, you know, I know what was on the radio. And so this is a song about album. I mean, there's a show about albums but I lean, it's like 51-49 Boston, because I think Boston is such a heavyweight in this category. It is like, I think Boston could win the whole thing. And I really like Boston and Weezer are interesting. I have a quote that I'm going to throw out, that when I remember reading an article about Rick Ocasek of the Cars and his connection with Weezer, and how he was telling them to keep their guitar parts kind of tighter and not have like these long drawn out pieces. He's like, keep it poppy, keep it whatever. He said, you don't want to become Boston. I remember that because there's a feeling of, Boston being just a little bit too gratuitous and with the guitar rock and kind of maybe not as good songs. I don't know though. I love them both. So I'd like to see Boston in the Final Four.
Okay. Then I'm going to concede. Okay. Because I really don't, like I said, I don't have a big grasp.
You don't have like a huge dog in the fight on this one, right. I don't think. So, and our most beloved ones, we got a chance to talk about Finch, which we love, and Linkin Park, which we love, and that's what makes it hard, is when they're on the same side of the bracket. Because Linkin Park, if it was in another bracket, might have made it to the finals. Correct. But all right, lots of love to Finch. We now have 2 of our Sweet 16s completed, and we'll come back with more on the next bracket, Sweet 16 edition, Personal Records. Thank you for listening. Tell us what we got wrong, and we love you, baby.
Please go check out Morales Forest.
Listen to Morales Forest. Absolutely. All right. Thanks for watching. We did it.
Have a good day.